So we are looking at a little bit less in chapter today, like a little bit less of like a specific chapter today, and a little bit more about like understanding how to organize our workout programs. And then we do want to sort of dive in and understand, in particular, stabilization routines today. So we are looking at NASM's chapter. We're going to go in a little bit further with like the idea of like chapter 20 here. So again, like we kind of go back to this like resistance. I'm just going to open up our notes from Friday. You guys already have a copy of this that we put in the chat bubble and stuff. Um, but let's see here. Hold on, I gotta open that up again. So you've already got this, but I want to just sort of reference back to it just briefly. Um, so, so we look at our different routines, right? We talked about the idea of like different ways you can do things. When it comes to stabilization versus strength versus power. We talked a little bit about like how those things pair really well together, right? There's like a series of rules that you want to follow that fit really well together, right? So like, static stretching is really great, but it doesn't make any sense to do static stretches if your client is trying to focus on like maximal strength gain. So, but if they're doing things like this, which we can see here in the PowerPoint where it's like, oh my gosh, that is obnoxious. Um, Hold on, back up to the top. Doing something like this, it's very unstable, right? That's a very good way to learn how to do a particular movement. So this is called by the way, this is called an earthquake bar. Really a terrific piece of equipment, by the way. It's a piece of bamboo. Like it's a barbell, but it's bamboo, and like you tie resistance bands and kettlebells to it, and so it never stabilizes. It's crazy, like when you're on it, because it just like as this one sort of like bounces up, it starts and like this one starts, and it just never stabilizes. So you might have both feet on the ground, but this is very much like a stabilization level. And you can see you can do a press with it or a bench press. You can do a row with it. There's all kinds of different things. Rows are a little tricky because the bands hang down. So you got to do a row while you're standing on like a box, which is a little weird. But like just a terrific, unstable sort of variety of exercise there. And that's going to be really good at teaching you, you can see here overhead pressing movements, or in this case, rowing movements. Then eventually we can get into the more stable exercises where we get into strength-based stuff, right? We want to, when we're doing strength, we are obviously like staying, we're stabilized and we can really load a lot of weight on there, Like you take a look, it's funny that none of these pictures are actually examples of what we just did in the other one. I never noticed that before. That's actually kind of annoying. But you can see she's doing a row. He's doing a press. She's doing a press. Um, if any of these barbell movements here were presses or rows, you'd see the sort of progression, right? Like we went from being unstable to being very stable and being able to like load the weight very well. And then eventually we got into power, right? Where we got very explosive about things, right? And you could throw all these things together on one routine. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Um, but they work really well paired up together, right? You are working on the concept of stability, the concept of strength, the concept of power, and all the other rules that sort of go with it also make sense there as well. So we kind of get down to the bottom here. Today, we're going to spend a little bit more time on stabilization in particular. I want to break down stabilization as a level today so that we really understand that super, super well. And we're going to talk about like how to implement some of these resistance stabilization exercises. We want to use these controlled, meaning like safe, but unstable environments so that clients have to actually develop their stability. That's what we're going for here, right? We want neuromuscular efficiency. We want their body to get as much maximal sensory information as possible. So in general, we'll sort of make ourselves a little chart here, right? If we kind of consider our sections of the workout, right? We got a warm up. All right, my internet's being a little funky, but it's okay. Seems like it's stabilizing eventually. We got our warm up section. We got our activation, right? And that's going to be core and balance. We got our skill development. I'm going horizontal here, but it could be and resistance. So if we were in the stabilization routine, what was that? Over here we would have like our, again, we're going to go with like static stretches, SMR and static stretches, right? That's going to make sense in the warm up for our client in the stabilization level. Or we would do, let's go SMR plus static stretches. Or we would go with, moving down the OPT. We would go with core stabilization and balance stabilization. I know we've already talked about this. I'm just putting the reps in so you guys get extra familiar with it. Skill development, I need more space. We're going to go with plyometric stabilization, and we're going to go with speed drills primarily. All right, let me make myself a little bit more space here. And then the resistance section, that is where we are going to do either total body, stabilization, chest stabilization, back stabilization, shoulder, biceps, triceps, or legs exercises, right? Cool. So there's our state, and then our cool down. I guess I should put that up here. And we'll do SMR and static stretches. So okay. There's our first. This is what we're going to be going over today. We're going to talk about how to make this whole routine today. But again, like the whole point of this is to set us up for a foundation so that we can follow this up next month, right? We can work our way through this. You think of it as, again, like as progression, right? Oh my gosh. That is horrible timing. Oh no. All right, holy crap. Oh, I might lose my voice for 5 minutes. This happens every now and then. For those of you who are new. Whew. Actually, that one's passing quickly. Every now and then, I will literally swallow my own freaking uvula, the little hanging thing in the back of your throat. Comes out of nowhere. Okay, we're alive. So here's our first month of training, right? So now our second month might be moving into the strength level here. So again, it's going to be SMR, but this time it's going to be active stretches. Oh my God. Then it's going to be strength stuff. Right? Into plyometric. Into speed and agility. So we can get a little bit of both of those in there here. And then again, we're going to see this same concept of like total body strength stuff, So something that's like a total body exercise, but like very stable. Chest, back, shoulders, biceps, triceps, and of course, leg day. And then with cool down, we are going to do SMR plus, and again, this is going to be active stretches. So we're going to put that there. So there's our progression, right? Again, think of it as you are working your way from like, your baseline sort of basic stretches into the slightly more advanced, like active stretches, into the slightly more advanced, movement of the spine, into these stable, heavier versions of various body part exercises. And then for cool down, the workout is over. So we actually can keep that the same, no matter what level you're in. And finally, we have the top of the staircase, the power stuff, right? So again, this is going to be SMR plus dynamic stretches. So now it's like, we actually they might even look like a strength training exercise. Like pistol squats, weirdly enough, if you are good enough at them, they're kind of a warm-up exercise, They are something that could theoretically be considered a stretch as long as you are advanced enough to do them. The same way body weight squats were like a full-blown exercise and eventually become kind of a stretch, that we consider like dynamically. Step up to balance, same concept. And then eventually we move our spine explosively. Core power, balance, power, right? Plyometric, power, and then speed, agility, and we can throw some unpredictability our way into quickness drills. Eventually we do our total body. Chest. Now I will say, here's one thing that is weird about the power level. I'm just going to lay this out here. We're going to go shoulders, and then we're going to go straight to legs. You'll notice I skipped biceps and triceps. The textbook and NASM, there's really no reason to try to do like arm exercises as like power exercises. So there are actually, oh my God, that says I copy pasted like a dummy earlier. There really is no reason to do biceps or triceps in the power level as power exercise. Not that you can't do those body parts. You totally can. But this is where I died last time. Not that you can't do those body parts, you totally can. But you don't you want to do them as strength variations. There's no like single joint power actually. Like power is always at least multiple joints, right? So like if I was just doing my biceps, like I don't do explosive bicep or tricep variations because that's one singular joint working by itself. So it just doesn't make any sense to do that. So instead, we just make sure that like if you want to train biceps and triceps in a client in like a level 3 routine, you totally can. You just want to make sure that you do it as like, pick a strength variation, like a preacher curl or a standing dumbbell curl, something that's like a stable, relatively heavy, bicep or tricep exercise. So again, we're kind of working our way down this, right? We saw progression here, and that's really what we're just kind of reviewing here really quick. We're just taking a look at these different categories of exercises, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to pause this video once I start showing it. Well, pause the recording once I start showing it, but let's take a look at NASM's OPT model here from the man himself. What do you got for us, Rick?
Introducing NASM.
All right, so muting this really quick. Oh, there's no ads, so this actually is the video. All right, so OPT model overview is the name of this video if you are watching this later today. Bring back on. So we're working our way through this idea of chapter 21 here. So yeah, Yasmin, when you're looking for it later, chapter 1, standard edition textbook, right? Standard edition, we're in that. That's the book that we are like exclusively in right now. It's the girl, again, doing that chest press, where she's in a kneeling position. That's uh, that's where we're headed for. Um, yeah, kind of mastering this idea of understanding our individual levels. So when we're looking at like cycling using the OPT model, right? It's this concept that we call not that one, back there. It's that concept that we call periodization, right? The idea of like you breaking down your program into different periods, right? So that we focus on like one particular concept, we master that concept, we move into the next concept, right? Again, people always say you got to learn how to walk before you learn how to run. We're going to take it back even further than that. We are going to learn how to stand before we learn how to walk, before we learn how to run, you know? Um, so if your goal, so the iceberg analogy here, is endurance or power or muscle size or strength, before you do any of that, you have to have mobility, stability, movement patterns, and like functionality, right? This is where, I always say this is kind of a common phrase that you'll hear me say a lot, where I'm like, people think exercise, like the world of exercise is all about human movement. And it is definitely about human movement, for sure. Like we are totally focused on making humans move better. Aaron, Yasmin, Shanti's, Frank, Trisha, Lisa, I want you all to move. Like I want it. But before we do that, I also want you to be able to resist unwanted movement. I don't want you to get shoved around. Like I want a football player that can move to the end zone. I also don't want them to get shoved onto the ground on their way to the end zone, Um, I want to make sure that like we master the ability to stabilize way before we ever master the ability to actually, move around explosively. Okay. Or anything else, like maybe not even explosively, right? So maybe just heavily, right? So program design, we're breaking this down into these ideas of like periodization. So if you think of the staircase, right? If my client's like, okay, look, my main goal, um, my client tells me like their main goal is gonna be like they want to get like Trisha, let's say it's you, yeah, we'll use your daughter as an example. Actually, she's very into powerlifting, right? Cool, that's great. But if she were brand new, if it was her first time getting into the sport or something, right? I would want to build her a foundation of stabilization first, right? I'll really want to make sure that she masters this idea of stabilization and endurance, right? I want to have at least enough energy to kind of get through, an entire workout. So we're going to build a foundation there, right? And then I might move her into a little bit of like, where we start keying in this idea of, okay, increased strength, but like we still want to have some endurance, right? So we move her into phase 2, strength, endurance, right? Muscular development's also going to serve her really well. So we might do a little bit of muscular development training, maybe not a lot, her goal is to get strong, not big, right? If getting big is a byproduct, nothing wrong with that, but so we might do a little bit of that. And then eventually, maybe we like the idea of, hey, here we are. We made it to the mountaintop here. We're working on max strength, right? So that's where really her sport kind of lies, right? This is definitely going to be our main focus, right? And then we might like the idea of like power training as well, because that increased like velocity, explosive stuff can actually have some pretty good carryover to our force production in the world of powerlifting, right? So maybe power eventually is there. So really like a lot of like power lifters, they can kind of benefit from the entire OPT model. But does that mean I'm just going to go, you know, every single time, like January, February, March, April, May, and then she's way stronger, so we reset June, July. Probably not. Probably not. That's probably not what our actual routine is going to look like. So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, like for instance, like in strength endurance really doesn't make any sense for her to continue development. Once we get a pretty good baseline of it, we probably don't have to revisit that phase very often. Muscular development, probably a phase that we don't really have to revisit that often. Power and maximal strength are going to be her main deal, but we also have to continue having that good foundation of stabilization. So I might instead, look at this progression here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up on NASM's website here. They've got a really great, oh man, their SEO must have changed recently. I was trying to find the OPT template the other day, and it was so like it all moved. um, so dumb. It just used to be like it used to be so easy to get to. Trying to go to their website here. Let's see if they got this working again. What is this? This is a new thing. Anniversary sale. They're so showing like that's so funny. I was like, this is right out of the 80s. Yeah, sure enough. That's so funny. There's a resources, trainer tools, go to program templates. That's the one I want. So we're just gonna get there. They have an annual plan here, which is really, really nice. If it ever loads. All right. So, you freaking kidding me? Oh, there it is. Annual and monthly plan. So here's what a year might look like. So again, let's say Trisha, your daughter, she's working on her powerlifting, right? If she's brand spanking new, I'd probably start that client off let's say, New Year's resolution, new client comes to me, they want to get better at powerlifting. I'm definitely starting them in stabilization. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're brand new, right? I want to make sure that they know if powerlifting is all about these 5 key movements: squat, deadlift, bench press, bent over row, and military press. I need to make sure that she knows how to squat, hinge, push, pull, and press. Shouldn't know how to do any of that. No reason to continue moving into like heavier lifting. I got to establish those movement patterns first. So we're going to start. Hopefully everybody can see that here in January. Then I probably want to like ease into this concept of strength, right? Just a little bit. So I'll move into the month of February with a little bit of strength endurance. Once we've sort of mastered that, we can do some muscular development, work on that maximal strength, and eventually power. Meanwhile, she's going to do cardio through all of this. And I've never understood why they have. It's like cardio mentioned as something down here. That's very weird to me. Although I do like it as an empty space on a handwritten page. Because you can put in like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can say what stage of cardio you're doing, which is kind of nice. Okay, but now I've taken her through the entire OPT. She's a much better athlete, right? So now I'm probably going to focus on the main things, like all the way getting through. I mean, like going from muscular development into strength into power, that's 3 months of pretty heavy lifting. So it's probably a really good time to cycle back into stabilization. Now, am I just going to continue that cycle? I could. Actually, guys, I think this is something you all could very much benefit from if you are trying to like master these concepts really well. I think a routine that looks like this, where you just do the whole thing, is actually pretty good. This is a really good year of training. It's not very specific. It's a very jack of all trades, master of none situation. But it's a really good year of training. And just for those of you who are relatively like Aaron and Frank, you look at this here, you'll notice I've got multiple phases marked in 1 month. Two ways to do that. You could do week 1 is stabilization, week 2 is strength, week 3 is power. Or more commonly, what you'll probably do is you'll probably have a stabilization day that is like Monday, a strength day, which is like Wednesday, and a power day, which is Friday. So it's a total body routine. We call that undulating routines. We'll look more at that in just a moment. But I know that probably looked really weird if you're like brand new to this. Um, so we go back here. There's our first year. And then I'm probably just going to focus on the things that are directly related to powerlifting. So maybe a little bit of stabilization, again, just to like cycle back through. And then maximal strength is really good there. So I might spend 2 months working on that. A little bit of power is also going to serve us pretty well. Go back into October, into stabilization, and then back into probably max strength there again. So this is probably a routine that makes a little bit more sense for a client who's getting into powerlifting. Other people, like if you look at like the Jim Wendler routine, so Jim Wendler is a kind of famous power lifter. Came up with a really simplistic routine that is very easy to follow. I think it's a pretty good routine. I don't think it's an advanced routine. I don't think like you're going to be a pro power lifter on a routine like this. But I think if you're a novice, this is a fantastic place to start. And Frank, I think you were talking about like I think you were mentioning like a strong lifts routine the other day, like on I think it was like Tuesday. We were talking a little bit. Who's Thursday? Thursday. We were talking a little bit about like just like you kind of working on like the big five and like squatting all the time and stuff. Not a bad routine. This is actually very similar to that. And you can see Jim Wendler breaks it down as like a squat 5-3-1. And so what that is you would take this routine here. You would take what we're doing with NASM here, and your month would basically be this. You would have stabilization, or mark that here. Phase 4 here in the same month, and basically the whole routine. I'll just refresh this. His routine is a little very much more simplistic. It's this. It's 1 and 4, just like at all times. This is what his routine looks like. I actually have nothing against this. I think this is actually still a pretty. I think you're missing out a little bit. There's some benefits from power. There's some benefits from endurance that are being missed out on a routine like this. But how are you doing stabilization and max strength at the same time? Those seem very opposite. Well, his is like Monday, you're going to do 5 sets of 5, and then it's a squat, bench press, and you're going to do some version of assistance work. He breaks down assistance work as like basically whatever the key movement was that workout as like sort of a hypertrophy approach there. So actually, to be fair, now that I say that out loud, I really should be including phase 3 and all of his stuff as well. So there's also a little bit of hypertrophy there. So this is very much a blended routine because his assistance work is something where you're going to pick one particular exercise and you're going to do maybe like a bunch of sets of that particular body part. So examples are things like chin-ups or push-ups or dips, maybe a dumbbell squat that's not as heavy as your barbell squat was, where you're just kind of piggybacking on one of those like particular body parts that you're emphasized on. So again, deadlift and a military press plus some assistance work, and then back to a bench press and a squat. So squat, bench, deadlift, press, squat, bench again. Next week, you're going to flip that around. So it'll be Monday would be deadlift, press, then squat, bench, then back to deadlift, press. So you're really just kind of mastering these 4 key movements here, right? The squat, the push, the hinge, and the overhead press. Not a lot of upper back work in that routine. That's where your assistance work comes in. So there's a ton of assistance work focused on upper back here on the days where you're like deadlifting and pressing. Or I think maybe it's the days you're benching and squatting. Anyway, you're going to pick some upper back work. Please get that in there. You need your upper back to be strong. But the way it works is week 1 is 5 sets of 5. Week 2 is 5 sets of 3. Week 3 is 5 sets of like where you're going to go 5, 3, 1, 1, 1. So it gets like really heavy, 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 heavy. So what about week 4? Like if there's, oh yeah, go ahead, Lisa. What's up?
In where you have assistance work, are you putting in accessory movements, or is that where that concept comes
Yeah,
in?
accessory work is assistance work is what he's calling it. Accessory movements. Yeah, for him it's like upper back stuff. You can see there's like he literally didn't put any upper back in this, which is a crazy thing to do. You gotta have upper back, you know. You can sit bicep. You can skip bis and tris. Like that's not that important. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then obviously there's a ton of core work missing here as well. You gotta get some core in there. You know what I mean? But
So
this is
assistance work would be X.
what's up?
So assistance work would be like X in this case.
Yeah,
Like, are you just it's
yeah. I mean,
body part or
yes, but it's upper back. It's upper back and core, the two main things that are missing. But yes, he says it can be X. If you look at this, it's like, dude, you're missing, a huge posture muscle. You know what I mean? But it is also a powerlifting routine,
yeah.
which powerlifting is three things: bench press, military press, or sorry, barbell squat, bench press, and deadlift. So yeah, I guess it makes sense. Maybe upper back isn't as important to him, so he's like not emphasizing it as much. That's the big downfall of this routine. That's the huge mistake it makes is that it doesn't have enough upper back work, like written out. But yes, that's what he means. Like core, hugely important, right? Remember, this is not like a NASM routine. This is a random guy, but it's a very famous routine. So it's a good example. So if we're looking at this, we can look at how like other people are doing something very similar to NASM, but they don't have like balance. He didn't have any stretching in here anywhere. You know what I mean? Look, the whole routine is 3 lines of training. You know what I mean? 3 lines of
So
writing.
they're just vanity stuff,
Ha!
really, and
No, no,
some
no. I mean, he's an
muscle.
athlete.
Well,
He's yeah,
I, yeah, I mean, like you said, right? It's like they're not following NASM's model, but and not to dump on anyone or anything like that. It's really like they're not, like you said, right? They're missing back, they're missing core,
right.
so they're not super focused here on stability or just like foundational movements. This is
Exactly.
strict hypertrophy.
Yes, but not muscular develop. Maximal strength.
Oh,
Muscular.
okay.
His big thing is lifting real heavy.
Okay.
Particularly good at lifting heavy, in particularly those, I guess, 4 lifts, right? So if we take something like that, which again, this is a very popular routine, and it's popular because it's not bad at doing what it does. Like what it does to make like an athlete who's very strong, it's good at that. But we want to take that and say, okay, how do we actually play? So this is like a 3 week cycle. And then one thing, if you read down the article a little bit further, he'll say, now you have to take a deload week. Um, and a deload is basically where you strip a lot of the weight off. You still do the movements, but they're very light, they're very easy, and it gives your nervous system and your body time to adapt. So if we wanted to like turn that into a NASM, if I hear that as an NASM trainer, and again, like I said, Lisa, like this is an effective routine. Actually, I really like this routine. I just don't like that it's missing a few things. But with what I do, it's very much a NASM trainer. And what he does, which is very much like this professional power lifter, if I can put those concepts together, then we can come up with something really good. So our deload week could be a week of stabilization. We're still going to focus on these pushing, squatting, pressing, hinging, and then assistance work, I'm going to say is pulling. I can still take those things and now I can kind of put them together in a routine. So maybe it looks like this, right? Let's say,
Are you always deloading on the fourth week
yes, in his version,
on a specific? Okay.
mhm, in his particular
Is there
thing.
anything NASM specific in a periodization routine where you're deloading on a specific time? Like it's always after a specific time?
No, but generally you want to think of it like when would you deload? It would be like what would you say is like a time to take a break? Probably after when you've worked your absolute hardest. You know what I mean? So there's no specific like every 3 weeks, every one week, every four. There's nothing like that. There's no rule
Okay.
written down like you should deload this. You know what I mean? Nothing says that. But
Okay.
based on like how the human body works, let's go back to general adaptation syndrome. Talked about that on Wednesday, right? This idea that like generally your body will adapt. You'll experience development from that stress, that alarm reaction. So then what'll happen if you don't give your time rest and recover to time to like rest and recover, you're going to get exhausted. You're going to get exhausted. You're going to break down, you know? So I would say generally anywhere between 4 and 6 week periods are a really good place to throw in. Just back off a little bit, give your body time to catch up, give your body time to adapt, and then come back at it. You know? Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So,
So that's the equivalent to like my training plan for the marathon. Next week is actually a taper week for me.
yeah. So that's the thing, right? Like
We're each we've been building each week, and then next week we'll drop back down.
love that.
And
Yeah.
then we'll start building again, drop back down.
So you can take it a little
So
easy.
that's the equivalent?
Yeah. Because progress, guys, it's not, unfortunately, we just don't progress like this. You know what I mean? Like this nice straight line. Instead, it's like, oh, I made some progress. And because I worked really, really hard. In fact, actually, to be truthful, it starts like this. Like your training actually like beats you up enough that like your athletic potential dips in the beginning. That's the alarm, and then your body goes, "Oh, holy crap!" Like yeah, let's put a baseline down actually. So here's our baseline, right? So you start training, and your athletic potential is actually kind of reduced. I always tell people, remember, you don't build muscle in the gym. You build muscle in bed. You build muscle in the kitchen, like recovering, right? So you're all beat up, right? And then hopefully that results in getting above this line. We call that super compensation. And then you're all beat up again because you have new capacity. So you work yourself really hard. And now you've got a little bit of compensation. Then eventually you break down again and you're back up, right? And so progress looks a little bit more like this, right? The overall trend is going up, right? You can see, right? But I kept like, I'm going in waves. And you'll experience that. I mean, how many times have, Trisha, I'm sure you've experienced that running. You're like, I killed it last week. I'm going to kill it this week. And you just have a bad day. Maybe you got bad sleep.
Yes.
It's hotter,
Yeah.
Guys, I lost this weekend. Did not win a game. Got my
I also feel like on
No,
the
no, no.
rest week, or on the taper weeks or in training, strength training, I feel like that's when you get the most gains, like when your body rests for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yep. So you recover and then you get up above
Yeah,
that
recover.
athletics, right? And then you break it down again, and it's rinse and repeating.
Right.
You'll experience that with strength training, cardio, athleticism. You'll experience that. I mean, even in skills, how many times I've been working on trying to figure out how to do like this wiring stuff, and then like I'm just working on it and working on it. My wife just keep coming in and she's like, "You need to eat. We gotta go." Like, and I'm like, "No, I just need to do this." And we'll go. We'll take 20 minutes, and we'll come back, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, I should do this," and then all of a sudden it works. Like your brain, right? I always tell you guys, don't don't like just like start cramming and stuff. Don't do your reading immediately once class is over. I'm talking at you for like 2.5 hours sometimes. I'm just like da 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 da. Like we're going nuts here. Your brain is ready to explode by the end of it. Go watch a YouTube video. Go get some lunch. Go get a coffee. Relax for 20 minutes. Take a half hour off. Then come back and study. That's so much better. That's why like homework got invented. Because they found that like you can't learn everything in school. You learn much better when you revisit information later and it reinforces it, you know? Um, so we take a look here. We're going to break this down into like weeks, right? So week one, we'll say we'll put this in red. Oops, in red here. So week one, let's say I'm going to have a workout A, B, and C, right? So we'll say workout A, B. And well, actually, we'll go. Yeah, we'll do C here. So I'm gonna slightly change his routine just a little bit, right? So maybe workout A is A is gonna be squat plus bench press. We'll say plus deadlift. I'm just gonna put all those on one day. Okay. We'll say B is we'll say actually let's not put deadlift there. Sorry. Let's change that. Let's do bent over row. I forgot I want to literally change his routine a little bit. So now we're gonna do deadlift plus military press plus, and then this is where we maybe have a little bit of accessory work of whatever we feel we need to fill it. Me personally, I really like a vertical pull. I think pull up is actually a really good spot for this. And then what I could do, there's two approaches here. Okay, there's two ways I could do this. I could write a totally different exercise, different routine, have like different exercises. So maybe something like a lunge, maybe some other version of an upper body exercise. Like I've already got two upper back there. I've got two kind of shoulder stuff there. But yeah, maybe I want to get in like a little bit of like an incline chest press. And obviously I don't have any of my core stuff here. I would have core in this routine. You know what I mean? And then maybe go with like, I don't know, get something that's like a little bit more athleticism, maybe something like SAQ can actually fit really well here. You know, some type of like athletic work, you know, battle ropes or something fun. So now there's like a kind of routine. So week 1 is going to be, let's say 5 sets of 5, or maybe I can even take that volume a little bit lower. We can do like 3 sets of 5, right? So there we go. So now in a routine like this, I can just be really simple. I'm just going to copy paste here. But we're going to change it. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of one here. We don't need this. And we'll take a look at we'll say this is week 2. And now it gets a little bit heavier. And so we'll say 3 sets of 3. Right, so a little heavier, right? I'm gonna take my reps down to 3, which means I gotta lift much heavier. And then, you know, week 3, good Lord, I can't talk. Week 3 here. Maybe that's, you know, my first set is 5, my second set is 3, and my third set is just like 1 new 1 rep max, lifting really heavy. Now that leaves me room for a 4th week. So maybe here I actually scrap this and I have this like stabilization routine. So workout A is not a squat, like a barbell squat. Instead, maybe it's a Bosu ball squat, something light and unstable. Throw in a stabilization routine in the middle of this, right? So a Bosu ball squat. Plus, instead of a bench press, we'll do a ball chest press. Instead of a bent over row, we'll do a TRX row, right? B becomes this other stabilization routine. Instead of a deadlift, we'll do a single leg RDL, which is still dumbbell. Instead of a military press, single leg dumbbell press. Instead of pull-ups, we'll do a kneeling lat pull, something unstable. C, instead of a lunge, maybe I'll do a Bulgarian split squat, Bosu incline press, and so this, I mean, SAQ will do, you know, I'd be more detailed here. It would probably have been some type of agility drill, or maybe even an agility plus quickness drill. I'll just throw SAQ up here again, but we'll put out, you know, we'll do it like this. On these first 2 weeks, we're going to emphasize the A and the Q. And then here, I might just emphasize the S.
For the Bosu incline press, you're on the Bosu ball at an
With your
angle
chest.
and pressing.
Because it gives you remember the incline press, you need your body to be at an angle while your arms need to always work directly against resistance. So it get directly against gravity. So if I want incline, I can't just push like this because gravity pulls this way, right? So my body has to be at an incline.
You're on the floor or you're
Hmm?
against the wall
You're on the
with
floor.
Bosu?
Yeah, here, I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah, when I'm trying to do this with my words, I'm like, I got the whole internet right here. Sorry. Uh,
Because I'm confused with Bosu ball. I mean,
uh,
I've seen it on a utility ball, but not on a. Okay.
yeah. So you just had an incline.
Okay.
But see how his arms are directly 90 degrees? That's the important part.
Okay.
You can do it on ball as well. I find the ball actually likes to roll. So if you can't get like near a wall, which isn't always possible at gyms, like sometimes it's hard to find like a blank wall, because it's like everything's lined with dumbbells or lined with like equipment and racks and stuff. So I find like the Bosu doesn't slide. So I'll do this one a lot if I can't prop a ball to the wall. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, um, so there we go. So now it's like, okay, I've got in my version here, I didn't have any like moderately repped stuff. It was all very heavy. And I had 1 week of stabilization. So my routine looks like this down here in my monthly plan, right? I'm in phase 4, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But over here in this 4th week slot, stabilization Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So this is what we call what is called, you can think of it as mixed periodization. You'll sometimes hear that term. So mixed periodization means you are mixing 2 phases of training in one like monthly routine. Or what NASM likes to call it is they like to call it undulating periodization. Think undulating means like to undulate like a wave. So you're almost doing like waves in the OPT model within either 1 week, or the other version of this version of like undulating periodization, that would be very different than this would be you'd have workout A, B, and C, right? But you would actually move through different phases of training basically each day. So like you would maybe always do a squat, push, pull. You would do basically you have to do total body if you're going to do it this way. But you would have, let's say this is a stabilization day, right? And then this is a strength day. It's like Wednesday would be like where you do strength in particular, and Friday you would do power as like a routine. So it's the same, let's say 7 movements, right? Let's say you're gonna do total body, chest, back, shoulders, biceps, triceps, legs. Actually, get total body out of there. Sorry. Just, in fact, get arms out of there as well. Let's just say chest, back, shoulders, and legs, right? Like just the 4, right? So Monday would be stabilization versions of all 4 of those things. Wednesday would be strength versions of all 4 of those things. Friday would be power versions of all 4 of those things. So just to give that examples of those, you know what I mean. Yeah, let's go with workout A is we'll say we'll do a ball squat followed by a single leg bent over dumbbell row, followed by, let's do medicine ball push-ups, nice and unstable, followed by, yeah, we'll do a single leg scaption for the shoulders there. Workout B though, let's get heavy, right? Let's put some work in there for strength, right? So barbell squat, bent over barbell row, or you know what? I've already used that as an example earlier. Let's do a seated row, and we'll say this is a front squat. Trying to give you some varieties here. I like to use the kind of purest examples a lot of times, but you need to see some new exercises. Push-ups, we'll do a machine chest press. Why not? And then let's just do a dumbbell raise. And then workout C is where we get the power stuff, right? Say box jump. Let's do a medicine ball slam. Let's do a medicine ball chest pass and a medicine ball scoop toss. So now it's like same body parts, right? But now I'm explosively, I was doing a dumbbell raise. Now I'm doing an explosive dumbbell raise, right? It was a scaption, unstable. I'm standing on one leg, by the way. Then it was, I'm on two legs and I'm just doing a really heavy, and then eventually like a scoop toss, right? Where I'm throwing that ball real explosive. So that could be it. So this could be, month one, month month one, month two, month three, or for the advanced client doing an undulating routine, it could be the month of January. Month of January here is this stabilization day, heavy day, power day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is actually very popular amongst athletes who really want a lot of endurance. If you do it just like this, but instead of going to phase 4, you go Monday, Wednesday is phase 2, and then Friday is phase 5. And Lisa, remember I said the superset thing was kind of optional in power? I didn't take the option here in this example, right? See how all I did was only power exercises? But what if I paired all of those with strength options? So I did the superset thing. Now my cardio is working way harder. So I do the heavy one plus the power one. That's really good for cardio-based athletes. And same thing is true here. My strength was just pure strength in this version. But if I did like the superset strength one, now it's cardio-based, right? So different workouts. Very, very good examples there. We'll probably, and since I'm doing this right now, I think this will make a really good experience tomorrow. I think I might scrap what I was planning for tomorrow, and we might try this. We'll do a little bit of this like undulating stuff so you guys can kind of feel what it's like to train in multiple phases of training in like one particular workout. Does that make sense though? Do you see how like undulating works? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Like it. Okay. All right. So typically we do linear though. Like I feel like I've been talking about like undulating for the last like 20 minutes. Typically, guys, most like 90% of clients, God, is it more than that? It's probably 95. It really is like most of your clients. You're gonna do linear periodization. You're gonna stay in one phase of training for a month. Next month, change it up. And here's the thing, that's one other thing that's important, guys. What if your client, like go back to here, this idea, like, so again, like my plan, right, was stabilization, month 2, strength, we'll say maximal strength. Right? This is linear periodization. Okay. I just stay in one phase of training all 4 weeks, but it doesn't have to just change it doesn't have to be like month 2 we go straight to. What if your client's still struggling with stabilization? Stay there. You do not have to move phases of training every month. I mean, most bodybuilders, they're just going to be like, they're just going to go like this. This worked for so many people for so many years. And it was just, like, where am I at here? We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You know, like you could just stay in muscular development, but you should change your routine up. It does just, you may be able to stay in the same phase of training months at a time, but you should be changing your routine up, right? So let's say I stay in strength and I go from doing the bench press to some dumbbell chest press. It's the same movement, right? Into maybe the next month is back to bench press or to a machine or something, you know, just a little bit of a different stimulus, you know, just something to get your body to keep from plateauing. Or maybe I do the bench press the whole time. But remember, strength has a pretty wide range of the number of sets and the number of reps. I mean, in Rick in his video, right? He was like, his buddy was like, hey, we've been doing 3 sets of 10. We're going to change it up. Guess what? We do 4 sets of 10. You know, like that was a big change. I totally identify with that story, by the way. That is totally where everybody started, I feel like. Like 3 sets of 10 was like the routine for so long. And then it got 3 sets, it was 10 to 12. It was if you could do 12, it was time to go up with the weight. If you couldn't do 10, it was too heavy. It was 3 sets of 10 to 12. That was like every Men's Health magazine, you know, like was that. For years and years and years. So yeah, so that's like that's where a lot of this starts, right? You can stay in one phase, but yeah, change your sets, change your reps, change your exercise selection. You can stay in one phase of training. I don't want you guys to think that like it's mandatory to change your phase like all the time. I work mostly in stabilization and muscular endurance. Most of the time, my clients, we are just bouncing. Most of my clients, we just bounce back and forth between here and here. These are the 2 phases I use the most, over and over and over and over and over again. I use this one because most people want to lose weight. And if you can put on some muscle here, that's going to make burning calories a lot more natural. And I use this one because it burns a lot of calories. And stabilization's very important. So those are the 2 phases you will probably use the most. Unless you're working with the kids, you might use some power stuff. It's really fun to like throw those explosive movements their way. And I got a couple clients that, yeah, you know, occasionally I do the max strength stuff, which is really fun, you know. So periodization is how we're going to take these daily workouts and break them down into sort of themes for the month, right? So another way to refer to this is if you consider like your annual plan, right? Like I said, this is your periodization, right? So you can see in this example, who is this? This is a sports conditioning, meaning they need to have strength, power, but mostly they also have to have like a lot of cardio. So this person here, this is their annual training plan. In the month of January, they're in their off season. Same thing with November and December. So this is a sport that starts in February and runs through about October. So preseason is February and March, and then they're in competitive season from April through October. So if that's your client, you can see here, breaking it down per week, they're doing cardio on Mondays and Wednesdays. They're doing resistance training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they're doing speed, agility, quickness work because they're an athlete. So they get a whole speed, agility, quickness day dedicated to Fridays, right? So that's their week here, right? And that's how you're going to kind of set this up. Now, it just says resistance here. It doesn't say like what type of resistance, right? So you look at their week, it looks like this. This is how I like to lay it out for my clients. So basically give them a weekly schedule. And then I tell them, hey, you know, we're going to do this for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, however long. So cardio, resistance, SAQ. Trisha, this actually probably looks pretty similar to your schedule, except probably a little more cardio based. Not so much an SAQ day, I'm imagining. That's the type of marathon we need. You gotta like dodge stuff. People running at you. And then eventually you can see the way we would break this down. They actually the examples like further in the chapter. I'm gonna skip way forward here. Is it not? Yeah, there it is. So now you can see like your actual monthly plan might be like this. So it's like, okay, preseason was, this is actually not, this is a fat reduction. Where's the sports one? Sorry, there it is. So preseason, right? That was November, December, and January. So we do a little bit of like undulating periodization here, where like this is, they've got phase 1, 2, and 5. So if you're looking at phases 1, 2, and 5, go back to this. Sorry. Right? So I'm looking at this. They only have 2 days of resistance here and an SAQ day. So that SAQ day, I would probably throw a lot of their power routines in there. So they probably have a stabilization workout on Tuesday, a strength endurance workout on Thursday, and then that Friday is probably where I'm having them do like box jumps and medicine ball chest passes and, all that explosive stuff. With that client. So that's an undulating routine. If not, then I probably just have them doing stabilization Tuesday and Thursday, and then probably mostly speed work on Friday. So which is the best one? What's the best training split? If I'm considering like how to set up a week, right? And by the way, these are in my notes here. You can kind of see we've got linear periodization, month 1 stabilization, month 2 strength endurance, month 3 power. Undulating periodization is month 1 is stabilization and hypertrophy in my example. So workout A is a stabilization routine, workout B is a hypertrophy routine. Like I said, a lot of my clients, I use this split a lot. Or, Trisha, your daughter, right? Power lifter.
Right.
A hypertrophy day and a max strength day. And that hypertrophy day, it's like, well, no. You said that like hypertrophy doesn't make sense for power lifters. They don't need to get size to get strength. Those aren't, required. They do feed into each other though. And if the goal is to get very good at lifting heavy, hypertrophy is pretty close to our stabilization numbers. So it's a heavy version of something that's still lower intensity, so they don't just get overworked the whole time. So it actually is also a pretty common way to do it. It's not the example I used earlier. I would say the example I used earlier was this, But you could also, if you're like, no, I do want to lift heavy, great. It could be this. So the undulating periodization is multiple phases in 1 week or 1 month, right? Depending on how you want to do it. What about training splits? What about like splitting your body parts up? What are the best ways to split your body parts up? Now, I will say this. NASM does this in an incredibly simple way. A little too simple, if you ask me. Where'd it go? Oh my gosh. Come on. Oh, actually, wait. No, it's in my other PowerPoint. All right. Yes. Okay. Let me open that up really quick because they got a good chart on the other one. I do like it. Split routine system. Okay. So take a look at this picture right here, just sort of in isolation here, guys. So should I train 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week? If I train 5 days a week, how do I do it? Right? A lot of different ways you can split it up, right? So you can see here, they've got days performed. So if you do a 2-day a week, good example would be like Mondays and Thursdays. So maybe you do upper body on one day and lower body on the other day. Does it have to be that? No, it does not have to. You could totally do total body on Monday, total body on Thursday. You hit the same body parts, you just pick a different exercise. It was TRX rows on Monday. It was a bent over row on Thursday. Same body part, same thing, but slightly different stimulus, hoping for increased capacity, increased growth or resistance development, right? Or maybe it's the classic 3-day routine. Here's, 3 sets of 10. This is the old routine. Chest, shoulders, triceps, leg day, back, biceps. This was where everybody started. And then once you got good, everybody moved to this one right here. We call this the bro split. Real popular amongst bodybuilders for a long time. Chest day, leg day, back day, shoulder day, arm day. Just crazy. Or there's my favorite, which is like the 4-day split. They don't do it my favorite way. They do chest day, back day, leg day, and shoulder day. I actually hate that split personally. In 4 days a week, I can't believe that chest and shoulders get their own days. To me, that's crazy. But I love a 4-day split that is just like our 2-day split multiplied. Like, so upper body, lower body, and then upper body, lower body again. Love that routine. So a 4-day split could be like Monday is upper, Tuesday is lower, Thursday is upper, Friday is lower. And you do a lot of the same things. That's probably my favorite split. And then there's the 6-day split, which is like reserved for the very advanced client, where it's like you do chest, back, and legs again, but you do it twice a week. So chest, back, legs, chest, back, legs. So what's best? Let's get some opinions. Let's go check out. This is definitely going to get me flagged. So, let's see here. Which training split is best? You can see I have looked up this before. Okay. So here's our video title. And I'm going to pause the recording. All right, so let's take a look at what a stabilization routine might look like in terms of like, again, if we do like a total body workout, that's going to be a really good way to kind of lay this out. And we might do it like 3 days a week. That's a pretty attainable goal for like a lot of people. I think this is one of my favorite beginner routines. This is just a really good way, like I said, to like lay out overall like training volume. First, let's pull up all of our stabilization rules because obviously we want to make sure we're following those if we're going to be in a stabilization routine. So we're just going to kind of focus on these rules here in this blue. And we're going to take a look at what it would mean to look at, like, again, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so there's our week. Monday, we'll do stabilization A. Tuesday, we'll do maybe cardio. Wednesday, we'll do stabilization B. Thursday is cardio. Friday is stabilization. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. Probably the simpler way, and honestly, what I like to start, if I have a beginner client working with me for the first time, I'm probably going to make it look like this. I'm going to go back to stabilization A. Now, what that means is that week 2, I do need to flip these. So week 2, it will be B, A, B. Okay. If I have a true like friggin' beginner client, they've never trained before, I might do a routine that's like literally introducing the most simple versions of exercises. They probably aren't even really that unstable, right? Like in terms of stability, I'm probably actually going to pick basic. I might even do like strength exercises, but follow all of my other stabilization rules. Things that are a little bit simpler and safe for a true beginner. And I'm just going to introduce them to those 5 key movements: push, pull, squat, hinge, press. And we're going to make sure that like we keep it really, 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 really simple. But what I mostly do, my most popular routine, is this. So it'll be A, B, A, and then next week it'll be B, A, B. The week after that, it'll be A, B, A. And the week after that, back to B, A, B. And then I decide whether or not I want to do this for another 2 weeks. So I might I might actually decide to go, you know what? We're going to do this for a 6-week routine. So now we do a 6-week variation, and just keep going with it. But most of that I'll do 4. So we'll leave it like that. So A, B, A, B, A, B, right? So that's going to be how we lay this one out. Okay, really simple routine for this first client. So now, if I'm building their workout, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I follow all these rules while I'm building.
Question.
Yeah.
You're not deloading with beginners, are you? You're
No,
doing that when you're
deloading is kind of specifically reserved for powerlifting. Yeah, you really don't have to do deloads specifically. Because beginners, you're not lifting very heavy. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're not like fully stressing them.
Yeah, that's a good question though. Seriously, like deloads are really a powerlifting concept. Phase 4, phase 5.
Okay.
Even muscular development, you don't really need it.
Okay.
I guess maybe it was their very first time doing like moderately heavy strength stuff. Maybe, but I honestly don't think I've ever done a deload with a power lifter.
Right now you said you're doing that routine going up to 6 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I did like 6 moderately heavy weeks, like back to back to back. My deload would be, okay, let's switch into a new phase of training, and then that new phase of training would be relatively lighter.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and build 3 workouts side by side. Now, while I'm doing this, remember our goals here. I want to teach my client how to master our kind of big 5 movements here, right? So I'm just going to kind of keep in my head that I want to have some emphasis on like the ability to push, the ability to squat, push, hinge, pull, and press, right? That's probably my important thing. So I'm going to arrange this in such a way. All my workouts are going to have these kind of 5 key movements in them. And I'm probably going to arrange them like this. I'll probably go in this order. Push, squat, pull, hinge, press. Now, you've heard me say you want to go from biggest muscles to smallest muscles. Your push muscles are not bigger than your legs. But if you'll notice, what I've done is I've gone upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body. And I went from the biggest upper to the biggest lower to the second biggest upper to the second biggest lower to the third biggest upper, right? So I'm going to arrange these 3 workouts as I build them. I'm going to arrange them all like this. Now, I don't have any core stuff in here yet because right now I'm just talking about the resistance side. I don't have any balance in here yet. It's going to be in there though. So for workout A, we'll put workout A in light purple here. Now it's gonna be hard for you guys to see. Go in purple here, right? So we go workout A. I'm just laying this out on paint first, and then because this is what I see in my head as I'm slowly gonna sort of transfer this into an actual workout template in a moment. But for my push, let's start real simple here. Let's have like kind of a cable day. You know what I mean? I also don't want to move around the gym too much, because there's people there. They're gonna be in my way. So if I do like a cable chest press, and if that's really good, then my pull makes sense to probably do like a cable row. And it might even make sense while I'm on the cable machine to do maybe like a cable external rotation. Something for my shoulder, where I go like this, or maybe a face pull. Actually, in fact, a face pull will probably work really well. Right now, I didn't do much for my legs, didn't do much for my hinge or my squat there, So, okay, let's get something. I don't have to stay on the cable machine. Maybe this is where I'm going to go ahead and bring a piece of equipment over to that cable machine with me. We'll go ahead and grab that Bosu ball. So we'll do a Bosu ball squat. We'll do a Bosu ball Romanian deadlift, RDL. Okay. So now I was able to gather the equipment I needed, get myself into a place, and that's going to make it pretty easy for me to arrange for my client here. So I don't really have to worry about traffic. Now, I do want them to master using dumbbells as well, right? So that's equipment that I want them to master. And I still want to work on these key movements. So maybe for my next day, workout B, I'm going to do, instead of a cable chest press, I'm going to grab my dumbbells. I'm going to grab a stability ball. Okay. And so I'll do a ball, dumbbell, chest press, a stability ball, dumbbell, chest press in particular. Not like a medicine ball, big squishy ball. From there, I might do a ball squat, right? Something where the ball is making it a little wobbly for them. From there, I need to do like a row. Now, a row is a little bit tough, but there is like, you can do a stability ball row. I find them really tough. This is a good exercise. I want to say that blanket term, I like the stability ball row. I do think it's pretty good.
The dumbbell,
You know, need to make sure I'm not pulling up a random YouTube video here. My problem with it is if you have a client with particularly long arms, it's really hard to not hit the ground every time. So I instead will go with a slightly, well, instead of doing I might leave that, or I might just do a, I would go back to like the Bosu, having the Bosu ball again. Bosu ball bent over row. So they're, rowing like that. Now, I can also be more specific here, right? Yasmin, you remember we were talking about like arm placement, right? And you were like, you're asking, does this matter? Does this matter? Like, which one's best? There isn't one that's best, but they are a little bit different than each other. So maybe I could even say in my coaching tips on my workout routine, I'll come to this in a moment, but like maybe my Bosu ball, my cable row was a high row, right? So that's like rowing like this. It's a big pinch in the upper back, just like that. That would probably be really good. But then on workout B, maybe I tell my client I want them to do like a 45-degree row, right? Or a total neutral grip row, where they focus more on like shoulder extension rather than that horizontal abduction. Right?
So it just pretty much depends on what your goal is for that day and what you want to emphasize on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this routine as a whole and I'm like, I got 2 rows in there. Why not master this month both of those? Teach them how to do a neutral grip row, teach them how to do a high row. It's a good opportunity for me to teach, focus on the row, but teach my clients that there are some varieties out there. Right. So I'll probably put that in the coaching tips in a little bit. But I'm just going to, for now, just say, they're both Bosu ball dumbbell rows. Then I need to get my hinge. I got that ball squat. So what's a good like hinge? Well, that would be something that's like particularly kind of focused on like movement like this. How am I going to do that with like a ball? Well, I could do a stability ball back extension. Now, if you look at the stability ball extension in your book, it's this right here. Ooh, that's probably too much range of movement she's got there. You do not have to go into that big arch. You just need to get straight. I would not exaggerate the low back arch, right? So that's a really good one. There's also, this is going to be a goofy looking exercise. I want to say this right now, but you can also do reverse hyperextensions. It's goofy looking, but it is glute city. I don't think that's a gift. Reverse hyperextensions. It's always hard to get clients to actually do this in the gym just because it is kind of a goofy looking exercise, but I'm telling you, it is really good for your glutes, guys. You look a little bit like a weirdo out there, like kicking your heels into the air and stuff, but this is called a reverse hyperextension, and it is really good for your glutes and hamstrings. I will probably not do that because it is it's a little goofy looking. So I'll probably just do this regular back extension. Now, the back extension, if you look in your textbooks, you'll actually see this is listed under a strength exercise, but it's listed in the core category. So this is a movement of the spine, kind of core. But what is she doing? She's using her glutes and hamstrings and low back. It's a really good hinging movement if I'm in the stabilization level. So I really like that. So I'll do a stability ball. I'm just going to say ball, back extension. Okay. And then lastly, I need something for my shoulders here. We've been on the ball all day. Yeah, let's do a seated ball, shoulder press.
Wait, you said you would put that exercise in the stability portion?
Yes. Wait, the stability.
Why?
It's a stability workout. We're in a stabilization workout right now. So everything is the stability portion.
But she's moving her back, right? I mean,
I didn't say
I'm confused.
remember, we're in resistance right?
Okay, I'm
Focus
sorry.
on, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm confused because I thought that you said that you were gonna put it in stability, in the stability portion, but you're not talking about her core. You're
Right.
just
So
about-
remember, there's no stabilization portion. This is a stabilization all through the top to finish workout, right? There's a strength port, there's a resistance portion, there's
Mhm.
a activation, there's a skill development, and there's resistance. Right now we're in resistance, and we're in resistance in a stabilization workout.
Okay.
I'm using this as a glute/hamstring exercise, right?
Okay.
If she were in the strength level, so if I wrote a strength workout, I wouldn't use this as a glute hamstring exercise, but I could use it as a core activation exercise because she's moving her core. When I build all my
Right.
core stuff in a moment, right? When I actually get into that, I need to focus on things that don't move the spine. You're right. But right now we're in the resistance section.
Okay, got it.
Yep, good. Yeah, it's tough when exercises get to exist in both places. It really is quite confusing. That's why he was saying in the video he likes that things are named after what they are. I actually dislike that because I think it makes it confusing for those reasons. So there's our workout B, right? So now again we've mastered. So we've got a push, squat, pull. This is it's a backwards hinge, but still a hinge. And then we've got this pressing motion. I will say face pulls are not quite a press. A shoulder press definitely is. Face pulls are a little bit more of like an external rotation thing, but it's working those press muscles. So I did I wiggled a little bit on this one. It's not quite a press, but it's still shoulder. And then lastly, workout. So actually, sorry, this is it. We did a workout A, workout B. So this is our routine, right? So now I need to make sure that I'm doing the full blown NASM style. I'm just going to save this and I'm going to send this to you guys in a moment. So we're going to say stabilization 2-day split workout A. And then I say stabilization 2-day split workout B. And let's just pull these up side by side because it's way easier to build this stuff when you're doing them both at the same time. So we got workout A here. And workout B side by side. Okay. So, client name, example, stabilization. So that's the same in both of these. We're going to put them in phase. They're in phase 1, which is obviously level 1. And we'll say the date. Let's see. We'll say they're starting next week. So we'll say, actually, no, it's a Monday day. We'll say October 7th. So 10, 7, 24. And then this would be their next day. So 10, 9, 24. They're going to come in on Wednesday as well. Okay. So now I need to come up with some warm up to get me into this resistance section. There's a client in the stabilization level, right? So I'm focused on static stretches, things that don't move upon stretching. I don't want to focus on lots and lots and lots of movement. So SMR, right? Let's go ahead and pick, we'll get into lats a little bit because almost everybody needs that. Let's get into the TFL and the hip flexors. So maybe my client's got a really bad anterior pelvic tilt. So these are some muscles that are going to loosen up those hip flexors. And on this day, we'll change it up a little bit. We'll go SMR. Instead of getting the lats, we'll go with the, let's go calves. Let's go piriformis. And, I don't know, we'll go thoracic spine. Right? So now I need to follow up my SMR with stretches that make sense for those body parts. Let's zoom in. Let's see better. So I'm in phase 1. Let's take a look at my rules. I'm supposed to pick static stretches. I'm supposed to pick anywhere between 1 to 3 sets and 30 seconds each. So we'll go with a static ball lat stretch, static TFL stretch, and a static hip flexor stretch. Over here, we'll do a static wall calf stretch, static figure 4 piriformis stretch. We'll go with static child's pose. I was supposed to pick anywhere between 1 and 3 sets, so I choose 1. And I'm supposed to pick anywhere around 30 seconds each. Now, I do want these workouts to time out around the same time. So one of the reasons why I like building these side by side, it ensures that like I am not changing my sets and reps around like crazy. I'm keeping them relatively consistent, you know? So then, Lisa, to your point, we shouldn't be moving the spine, right? For our core stuff, we should keep their spine relatively neutral. So let's go to the plank. It's a great core stabilization exercise, does move the spine. Over here, I want something somewhat similar to the plank where I'm going to hold that position and get really consistent there. So maybe I'll do something like a McGill curl up. That's the one where we do that little half crunch. We just stay put, right? Little tiny movement. Then we stay put the whole time, right? So it's a plank, but upside down. Now, this is a beginner client routine, so I probably want to have a good amount of core work here. I don't have to pick one exercise. I don't have to fill up every one of these boxes either. But a little bit of extra core work isn't going to hurt anybody. So from here, I might go with something like a bird dog. And over here, I might go with like a side plank. And now, okay, that's great. Like now I'm really focused on getting 2 core exercises every workout that are all about spinal stabilization. Now I do want to get some balance in there. And I want to make sure that like they're nice and active, right? So maybe here I want, I'm going to use it as a good chance to turn their glutes on. I said they had tight hip flexors, right? So all this turned off those hip flexors. So why don't we focus on those hip extensors? You know it. I love it. Here we go. Single leg balance with reach. I know it's my go-to, but it's just instantly like turn that glute on. Reach that leg back. Get the butt turned on. Over here, let's get some upper body going. Let's go with that single leg lift and chop. One of my favorites. Or actually, we've done that a lot lately. Let's do a single leg hip external rotation slash external slash internal rotation. Yeah, that's annoying. That's okay. So that's one where you can stand on one leg, lift that leg up, and then open it and bring it back in. So you open it, bring it back in. Really good also for turning the glutes on. Which again, we want all the glutes. Okay. So now I have to look at my rules to make sure I pick the right numbers here. So I'm in core. I got to pick anywhere between 1 and 3 sets. For my balance, also anywhere between 1 and 3 sets. So that pairs up. So let's just do 2 sets of each of these things, right? Now I'm supposed to pick anywhere between 12 and 20 reps for double-sided exercises, which ours are standing on one leg. So that's 6 to 10 reps on each leg. Or for my core stuff, anywhere between 12 and 20 reps. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write 12 reps for my plank. I'll explain that in a moment. And I'm going to pick 6 reps each for my bird dog, because a bird dog is like a side-to-side plank. For my single leg balance with reach, I'm going to go with 6 reps each as well. My gill curl up, we're going to go with 12. For my side plank, I'm going to go with 6 each. And for my single leg balance with reach, I'm going to go with 6 each. That's going to even me out. It's going to make sure that my workouts are timed the same way. Now for the tempo here, slow tempo. We're focused on stability here, right? So I'm going to put slow on every one of these. So I'm really just focused on controlling. Now, the rest is 0 to 90 seconds of rest for both of these. Space there. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to go 0 seconds of rest, and I'll give them 60 seconds of rest at the end of the little circuit here. So now I've got a little circuit training action. I might not be doing a circuit training workout entirely, but it's a good way to kind of introduce it for a beginner. Now, 12 reps on a plank is very confusing. What does that actually mean? Well, it means that I'm going to have you plank and hold for a few seconds, and then you can set yourself back down. Plank, hold for a few seconds, and then you can set yourself back down. So I'm going to put that here in my coaching tips. I'm going to tell my client how long I want them to hold each of those planks for. In this case, I'm going to go 6-second hold each rep. And I'm going to do the same thing with the bird dog. Right? I'm going to do the same thing on my gill curl up, and I'm going to do the same thing on my side planks. So now again, I'm making sure that my workout's timing out the same. And you think about like 6 times 12, that's 72 seconds of planking. You know, like that is going to be a heck of a core workout. You know, my client might not even be able to hold that in the beginning. So if it's a beginner client, like I'm going to test them out. This is an example version, but maybe I'll make that 3 seconds hold on each, you know, rep, or 4 seconds hold, you know. I like the 6. Whoop. Oh no. So that's that. Now for reactive and SAQ, this is a stabilization routine. It's very optional. I don't think it makes sense for this type of client. So we're just going to go ahead and we're not doing anything for that section. But we've got a really good core and glute activator here in the middle. And now I can move in and I can take that resistance stuff we talked about earlier. We went with the cable chest press. Put that right here. Bosu ball squat. Cable row. Bosu ball RDL. And cable face pulls. Yep. And then over here, the other half of that workout, which is stability, ball, dumbbell, chest press, stability, ball squat, Bosu ball, dumbbell, bent over row, stability, ball, back extensions, and a stability, ball, seated, dumbbell, shoulder press. No abbreviations here in this version. And then Yasmin, to your point of like the hand stuff from Thursday, right? We take a look at this cable row here. I'll go over here. I'm going to say performed as a cable high row. Arms should go out at your sides. And over here on the Bosu ball dumbbell bent over row, we'll say performed as a neutral grip row. Arms should stay tucked in at your sides. So that's telling my client that the cable row is like this and my dumbbell row is like that on my two different workouts. So I've just got a little coaching tip in there just to make sure that my client really knows exactly what's going on. I generally like to hyperlink these things, which is what I'm going to do for you guys in a moment. But so that way, like, I don't have to use coaching tips as much. But coaching tips are a really powerful place for you to put like notes, you know. Or if I like knew that, you know, let's say, you know, I'm training Frank, and you know, he's got this like really good habit of like keeping his shoulders like rolled back and stuff. But I just really want to emphasize that he should feel that pinch in his upper back. I might say something like, "Remember to pinch your shoulder blades together." You can always use coaching tips as like a general spot, or you can use them as, you know, like a way to remind your clients to continue doing something they're really good at, or to remind them to do something that maybe they forget sometimes or isn't quite as natural for them. So I go back over to my rules list, and I'm down here at the resistance section. So anywhere between 1 and 3 sets. We love 3 sets. So we'll do that for all of our clients, or all of our exercises. 12 to 20 reps. Maybe it's the first week. This is another way to change things up, right? Maybe the first week it is just all 12s. And then eventually becomes 15s and eventually becomes 20s, you know? Or I could do that backwards. If I wanted to make my clients like lift heavier, I could start with 20 in the beginning. And then it gets a little heavier and the reps go down. I don't particularly love that in stabilization, because the purpose of stabilization is to get better at endurance. So I think you should go the other direction, but it's certainly an option. But for now, we'll keep it simple. We'll say 3 sets of 12, sort of your classic. Again, we want a slow tempo here. And anywhere between 0 and 90 seconds of rest. Now, do I want to do this as a circuit? I could. But with most of my clients in the beginning, I start them with just straight sets. So we're going to go 60 seconds on all of our rest here. Now, looking at this, do I have any single-sided exercises? I got to make sure I'm being clear about whether or not they're doing 12 total or 12 for each leg. You know, that's 2 legs, that's 2 legs. That works pretty well. What about my other workout? Everything's on 2 legs. So we can just go ahead and keep this the same in both workouts. And now you look at this, I've accomplished a couple things. I've worked different body parts, trained my clients in different ways. I made sure they got their core, their balance, all that, got everything, all their stabilizers turned on, so that when they go to do the stability work later, it really tracks, you know? And I made sure my workouts are going to time out the same. I didn't get fancy with my rep scheme. You know, I could, but I don't. I generally choose not to. I want my routines to be easy to follow by my clients. For my cool down, I could just use the same as my warm up. You know, so we're just going to go here and get a double dose of all those things. If I wanted to, I could switch these too. You know what I could easily do? If I really want them to always get a little bit of like that other stuff. In fact, just for the sake of it, you don't have to do this way, but let's do it. Let's swap them. So my warm up for workout A is my cool down for my workout B. And my cool down for my workout B is my, wait, no, other way, sorry. My warm up for my, so I zigzag them. My warm up from A is my cool down for B, and my warm up for B is my cool down for A. And that way I'm getting a double dose every time. Nothing wrong with that. You can totally do it that way. A lot of times I just copy paste. Same thing I warmed up with is the same thing I want to cool down with, because those are the things I'm emphasizing. But nothing wrong with doing it this way either. So there we go. Now I've got my stabilization 2-day split here, right? Lisa, did this kind of clear up with the core stuff? That clear that up for you and make that, does this routine make sense to you?
Yes.
Awesome. Because that is super confusing, right? Like it's the same thing, like good example, right? Again, let's say, you guys follow with me on this. I don't want this to break anybody, but like here, I'm in phase 1. Step up to balance is a really good leg exercise. I'd say it's a good squat variation of a leg exercise. But if my client, just clear all of this, right? Let's say this is the same client 30 days later. And I'm here in phase, 2 or 3 or 4, right? So that means I'm in the strength level. Well, that step up to balance could be my balance strength level exercise, And you can see, like, it went from, oh, this used to be the workout. Now it's the movement prep. And if my client were in power, phase 5, that step up to balance might be considered like a dynamic stretch up here in the warm-up. So that exercise in particular is tricky because it is in 3 different levels, but it's used in different places of the workout within those 3 different levels. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
You could use it in 2, 3, and 4. In which ones?
It can be used in every phase.
But I mean, where would you use it in warm up?
Oh, 5.
5. Okay,
That's
because
dynamic
we're-
stretch.
okay, dynamic stretch. Okay, got it. And with no emphasis or attention particularly paid to balance, right? It's just the
Yeah.
movement.
Actually, that's a good way to think about it.
That throws me off. It's like, okay, balance. And so I think that's why I'm like trying to compartmentalize. Why is it there? If it's
Yeah.
balanced, you're just concerned with the movement portion of it.
Yeah, if I'm in power, they've already got good balance, So my balance exercise, or exercises that involve like a little bit of balance, aren't really balance training anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Okay.
yeah, it's just a good stretch. Like bring it up, I might even not have them hold, like for the step into balance and stabilization as a leg exercise, it looks like this. It's like whoop and then back down. In strength as a balance exercise, it's still like, it's this big long hold. But you're right, in power, maybe I just have them like, and they get a bit, oh man, they get a bit of a rhythm. And they're not holding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good way to think of it in your head, actually. I really like that. And I'm going to try to remember that so that I can steal it as an example. That's good.
Copyrighted. You have to ask her for permission.
Oh my God! We're about no more
They're like,
copyright.
no, we're not even playing with that one anymore.
I am lawyering up.
I'm Lauren.
My money. Okay. All right. So that's a good practical example. I've saved these 2 routines. I want to give them to you. I want to give my notes, and I want to give you today's PowerPoint. So everybody open up your chat bubbles. Where did I save those?
Yes, sorry that.
Uh-oh. Save as. Where did I put you? Which one is it? Okay. Oh, it's. There we go. Okay, so here's both the workouts. Oh, it's currently in. Okay, hold on. I gotta close them. Okay, here's both the workouts. Why? Which one is that? Workout A? Okay, there's the second one. Here's my PowerPoint slides. Although I jumped around a lot today. I know that wasn't, you know, every slide. We kind of bounced around a bit. But here are the notes that go with that slide. Get ready a second to download those. And I definitely didn't record anything I wasn't supposed to record today. So video should go up quickly. I don't have to worry about any drama. They can't flag me or nothing. So look for my video with no copyright drama on that Sochi PFT YouTube channel. I'm going to put the link to that right now. In fact, actually, I'm going to go one step further today just to make sure that you guys actually get that link directly. Once it is done uploading momentarily, I will put the link in our group thread. Share, copy link, text messages. And Frank, I still got to figure out how to get your texts on this thread so I don't have to text you separately every time, but that's okay. We'll figure that out probably in person tomorrow. I'll probably kidnap your phone for 30 seconds so I can figure out what's going on. All right. Cool. So that is that, guys.